We are going to actually use this forum, the Cape Town Conversations, to end a chapter and begin a new one. Over the last nearly 12 months now, under the leadership of Ambassador Sujan Chinoy, who's going to be speaking to us in a minute, Sachin Chaturvedi, who's in this room. Sachin, are you here? There you are. There's Sachin and a few others. India took on the mantle of leading the presidency and entrusted the ideas bank of the G20, the Think20, in the hands of these able gentlemen who will join us. And of course, our organization, the Observer Research Foundation, was entrusted with the responsibility of being the secretariat of making the trains run on time. But before we come to the secretarial work and we present to you, I think it is my honor and privilege to invite the Director General of the Mohan Parekar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, Ambassador Sujan Chinoy, and the Chair of India's T20, to speak to us on the experience of 1 year, what we sought to do, where we are, and how he dreamt and what we should believe in as we hand over. So let me invite first Ambassador Sujan Chinoy to speak to us as the Chair of India's G20 effort. Ambassador Chinoy, the mic is yours.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be standing here before you at the Cape Town Conversation this morning in my capacity as the Think20 Chair for India's G20 presidency. And I dare say that this galaxy of scholars and practitioners, researchers gathered here have over the past year engaged in deep research on several issues that are pressing and difficult, and in the face of adversity, they have accomplished this task in a great manner and in a very successful manner. I really wish to laud your efforts for this spectacular contribution that you made. My experience, ladies and gentlemen, as the Think20 Chair for India over the past year has been very rewarding, largely because of the expertise and academic rigor that you brought to our deliberations. It's also, in no small measure, a result of the kind of support that I got from Dr. Sameer Saran of the ORF and Dr. Sachin Chaturvedi of the RIS, as also the rest of you. Think20 India set out to find answers to the most important priorities of our times, such as reforming multilateralism, digital inclusion, resilient global value chains, the green transition, and changing lifestyles for sustainable development. Throughout the year, we have interacted with a most enthusiastic and dynamic group of intellectuals from G20 countries and beyond, basically in accordance with the principle of leaving none behind. This ensured that our output was both representative and relevant. That the New Delhi G20 Leaders' Declaration was adopted unanimously is proof of our success, your success as well. It is flattering to note that some of the key recommendations made by T20 India were adopted at the summit level without any kind of doubt. This is most palpable in four main areas: multilateral reform, green transitions, digital public infrastructure, and above all, women-led development. You would agree that the Delhi Declaration is among the most ambitious that we have seen so far. Friends, the African Union's inclusion in the G20 at the Delhi summit is a great tribute, in my view, to Nelson Mandela, who devoted his life to struggle for justice and equality. Africa's rapid development could provide fresh momentum to inclusive global growth and give a new voice to the global South. Friends, a major takeaway of the Delhi Declaration was the launch of the Global Biofuels Alliance on the 9th of September by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the presence of the leaders of the United States of America, Brazil, Argentina, and Italy. As you all know, biofuels have lower emissions intensity than fossil fuels and therefore can play a crucial role in decarbonizing economies. 19 countries and 12 international organizations have signed on to this alliance, and they've given a commitment to expand the use of sustainable biofuels. I hope very much that many African countries will also follow suit. Friends, the launch of a mega India, Middle East, Europe Connectivity Corridor, IMEC, as the acronym goes, by India, the US, Saudi Arabia, and the European Union was another major outcome of the G20 declaration. This shipping and railway corridor will give impetus to economic development through enhanced connectivity and economic integration. We hope that the strife in the Middle East will end soon to enable renewed focus on developmental issues. We must all continue to dream big in the face of adversities. Ladies and gentlemen, today climate change, global warming, and environmental degradation are some of the greatest challenges that we face. India's economy is already 10% more energy efficient than both the global and the G20 average. India's example shows the importance of behavioral change and consumption, these choices at a personal level, in driving energy transitions. Prime Minister Modi has been personally invested in proposing the LIFE initiative, that's the acronym LIFE, now reflected in the G20 high-level principles on lifestyles for sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most outstanding features of the Delhi summit is the emergence of the One Future Alliance, an India-led multilateral and multi-stakeholder framework dedicated to sharing the successful Indian experience of using digital public infrastructure, a DPI for short, for the benefit of its 1.4 billion people. The India Stack, which is a moniker, as you all know, for the application programming interfaces used by India, combines a unique national digital identity with a unique payment interface. The Indian model of DPI has dramatically revolutionized digital payments and improved the financial inclusion of the poor. Friends, the scholars and experts who participated in the various task forces of Think20 India, all of you have made rich contributions to the Delhi Declaration through your research papers and recommendations numbering in the hundreds. I should mention a few. The high-level principles on digitalization of trade documents and the voluntary and non-binding G20 policy recommendations for advancing financial inclusion and productivity gains through digital public infrastructure are among them. The recognition by the G20 of the role of artificial intelligence and data advances is also very relevant. So is the G20's commitment to accelerating innovations and investment focused on increasing agricultural productivity, reducing food loss and waste across the value chain, and improving marketing and storage to build more sustainable and climate-resilient agriculture and food systems. The renewed commitment to mobilizing adequate climate finance gives us all fresh hope. Friends, the reference to United Nations General Assembly Resolution 75/1 of 21 September 2020, which speaks of reinvigorated multilateralism, reforms, and international cooperation, IDSA is very encouraging. We must keep up the pressure for substantive reforms in global institutions such as the IMF, WTO, and especially the United Nations, and even more especially the United Nations Security Council. Social protection and women-led development, which were so far buried as footnotes in the G20 system, have been brought to the fore during India's G20 presidency. Promoting availability and access to social protection was a key recommendation of T20 India, especially for gig and platform workers. The G20 this year has formalized policy priorities on this issue which is annexed to the leaders' declaration as well. Friends, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our success so far is proof that effective dialogue and cooperation are not a myth. G20 India has been a people's G20. In fact, it's been a G20 for the peoples around the world. It has proved to be a G20 of the global south, the outgoing troika of Indonesia, India, and Brazil, and the incoming troika with the addition of South Africa. We all share a common purpose, that of achieving growth and prosperity for all. The able support of our Indonesian, Brazilian, and South African colleagues deserves special mention as we formally hand over the T20's reins to our Brazilian colleagues today here in Cape Town, the mother city, as it's known. And it's entirely appropriate and apposite that we should be doing so not far from the Cape of Good Hope, which is really synonymous with hope, because it was in 1888 that we had Bartholomew Diaz come across to the Cape of Good Hope and announced that there was a route from Europe to India via the Cape of Good Hope. But I would say that this is really a route that connects Africa and India. And I do hope very much as we stand in Cape Town before you that we can use not only the G20 presidency of India, but the ones to come, the leadership of Brazil, and thereafter South Africa, to build even better bridges and even better routes, navigation routes between the global north and the global south, as well as among us in the global south. Much has been done, yet we cannot simply rest on our laurels if the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and especially Africa's Agenda 2063, are to be achieved in the face of the many adversities and challenges that will inevitably come our way. And to borrow a phrase from the poet Robert Frost, we have miles to go before we sleep. I do hope that we can all work together, that we can continue to work together to consolidate the gains and the progress that we have achieved so far. I thank you for your support to me as the Think20 India Chair. I wish Brazil good luck, and thank you all once again.